The wind was sharp that night. The little town lay quiet under a blanket of snow, each rooftop carrying white weight, each tree frozen stiff. The streets were empty, except for a young girl walking slowly with her small boots sinking into the snow. Her name was Lila. She was no more than 10 years old, carrying a thin blanket around her shoulders to keep herself warm. Her parents had sent her to deliver bread to the neighbor earlier, but now she was on her way back home. The cold was biting, and the sky above seemed endless, filled with silent stars. Lila hurried through the dark path, but halfway across the field she stopped. Something strange broke the silence. It was soft at first, almost like the cry of a bird. But then it came again, thin, weak, and trembling. It did not sound like any baby she had ever heard. The sound made her heart beat faster. She looked around. The fields were empty, the houses far behind. Still, the cry continued, hidden somewhere under the snow and shadows. Her small hands shook as she pulled her blanket tighter. She wanted to run home. She wanted to pretend she had heard nothing. But her feet did not move. The cry came again, this time weaker, as if whoever made it was losing strength. Lila felt a pull inside her chest, the kind of feeling she had when her younger brother used to cry at night. She could not ignore it. Step by step she followed the sound. At the edge of the trees near an old broken fence she saw something glowing faintly under the snow. Her eyes widened. She bent down, brushing away the cold powder with her fingers, and there it was, something small, shivering, and not like any child she had ever seen. It was an infant, but its skin was pale blue, its eyes large and shining like pieces of silver glass. Tiny marks glowed faintly across its arms, and its breaths came out in quick, shaky gasps. The baby was freezing, wrapped in nothing but thin cloth that was already wet with snow. Lila froze. Her mind screamed, "This is not human!" Her first thought was to run. She had heard stories from grown-ups, stories of creatures from the stars, dangerous and strange. Some people said they came to steal. Others said they brought sickness. But as she looked down, she saw the infant's small hands reaching weakly toward her. Its lips moved, trying to cry, but the sound was almost gone. Something heavy pressed on her heart. She was just a child, but she knew what she was looking at, life slipping away. She whispered softly, as if the baby could understand, "You're cold." Without thinking anymore, she pulled the blanket off her shoulders. The night air hit her like knives, but she ignored it. She wrapped the soft cloth around the tiny body, tucking it in carefully. The baby gave a faint sigh, its trembling slowing just a little. Lila lifted it into her arms, holding it close to her chest. She was small, but she could feel how light the infant was, almost weightless, like a fragile bird. The snow fell harder now, covering the ground quickly. Lila glanced at the sky, and for a moment she thought she saw strange lights moving behind the clouds, flickering in colors no lamp could make. Her stomach tightened. Someone or something was looking for this baby. She clutched it tighter. "Don't cry. I'll keep you warm," she whispered, though her own teeth were chattering. The path back home seemed longer than ever. Each step was heavy, her boots sinking deep. Shadows stretched across the ground, and the cold bit into her skin without the blanket. But the infant needed it more. She hugged it closer, feeling its faint breath against her neck. Once she thought she heard a sharp sound in the sky, like engines far away. She looked up, heart racing, but saw nothing but clouds. Still, she felt uneasy, as if the stars were watching her. When she finally reached the edge of her house, she paused. Her parents would not understand. If they saw what she carried, they might scream. They might call the guards, and the guards would take it away. Maybe even hurt it. She couldn't risk that. Quietly, she slipped around the back of the house, careful not to be seen. She pushed the small wooden door to her room, shut it fast, and leaned against it, breathing hard. The baby made a small sound, softer now, its body warmer under the blanket. Lila sat on her bed, holding it close. The glow from its skin lit the dark room faintly, as if a hidden lamp burned within it. She stared at its face, strange, beautiful, and fragile. Outside, the wind howled, but inside she whispered again, "Don't worry. I'll keep you safe." She had no idea that this choice, this single act of kindness, would change her life, and the fate of worlds far beyond her own. The night dragged on slowly inside Lila's little room. The small alien infant lay wrapped in her blanket, its faint glow shining like a secret lamp in the dark. Lila kept her hands around it, afraid that if she let go, the cold would swallow it again. Every time the baby's chest rose and fell, her heart eased a little. Every time it stopped for a second too long, fear squeezed her. She did not sleep that night. She kept her ears open, listening for the sound of footsteps outside, for her parents waking, for anything unusual in the sky. But the only sounds were the wind, the crack of ice on the roof, and the infant's weak breaths. Morning light slipped through the cracks in the wall. Lila quickly sat up and looked at the baby. It was still there, alive, though very weak. Its silver eyes opened just a little, blinking at her as if trying to see who had saved it. For the first time, Lila smiled. "You're safe here," she whispered. She reached for a cup of warm milk, dipping her finger and carefully letting drops fall near its lips. The infant made a soft sound and swallowed as if it understood, but she knew she could not hide this forever. Her parents would come to check on her. If they found it, there would be panic. She had to be careful. She pulled an old basket from under her bed and made a small nest with clothes. Gently, she placed the infant inside, covering it with another piece of cloth. Its glow dimmed under the fabric, but she could still see it breathing. Her mother's voice soon called from the kitchen. "Lila, come eat." She jumped. "Coming," she shouted back, quickly sliding the basket under her blanket. She ran out, her heart pounding. At the table, her parents were busy talking about strange things. "Did you see the sky last night?" her father asked in a low voice. "Yes," her mother answered. There were lights, not like stars, like ships. Lila froze, holding her spoon halfway to her mouth. "They say soldiers are coming," her father continued. "They're looking for something. Or someone." Her stomach turned. She quickly finished her food, nodding when her parents told her to be careful outside, and rushed back to her room. Closing the door, she leaned against it, breathing hard. She whispered, "They're looking for you, aren't they?" The baby made a tiny sound from under the blanket, almost like an answer. That afternoon, the village grew restless. Strange noises filled the air, low hums that shook the ground. Lila peeked through her window and saw them. Giant ships hovered above the trees, their shadows darkening the snow. The villagers ran out of their houses, pointing, shouting, some even praying. And then armored figures stepped out from the ships, tall and sharp, their helmets shining under the winter sun. Lila's heart raced. She ducked away from the window, pressing her back to the wall. She could hear voices outside. The alien soldiers were speaking in deep, heavy tones, a language she didn't know, but their meaning was clear. They were searching. The basket trembled slightly. She turned quickly. The infant was awake, its silver eyes glowing brighter. It whimpered softly as if it knew danger was near. "Shh," she whispered, kneeling beside it. "You must stay quiet." But then she heard heavy knocks on doors nearby. The soldiers were searching every house. One voice boomed in broken human words, "Where is the child? Return the heir or all will suffer." Her blood turned cold. Heir? This was no ordinary infant. This was someone important, royal maybe. The knocks came closer. She could hear her neighbors arguing, denying, begging. Then footsteps approached her house. Her father's voice rose in confusion, and then a soldier's voice cut in, sharp and commanding. Lila's hands shook as she picked up the basket. She had only seconds. She pushed it under the bed again, covering the glow with her blanket. Then she sat quickly on the floor, pretending to play with her shoes. The door burst open. An armored figure filled her room, taller than any man she had ever seen. Its helmet glowed faintly, and strange patterns shone across its armor. It looked around, scanning everything with cold, shining eyes. Lila held her breath. The sound of her own heart was louder than the wind outside. The soldier's gaze stopped on her. For a long moment, the room felt frozen. She forced herself to look down, hiding her shaking hands. Finally, the figure stepped back and left. The door closed with a heavy thud. Lila released her breath slowly, almost collapsing from fear. She crawled quickly under the bed, checking the infant. It was safe, though its tiny body trembled. She pulled it out again and hugged it tightly, whispering, "They can't find you. Not while I'm here." Outside, the sound of ships and voices filled the air. The whole village was being searched. The soldiers would not stop until they found the missing heir. And Lila, a small human child, had just made herself the keeper of the most dangerous secret in the world. The village was no longer quiet. From morning until evening, the sky roared with the sound of alien ships. Their shadows moved across the snow like dark clouds, and every house trembled as armored soldiers marched through the narrow paths. People whispered in fear. Some hid inside, others begged the strangers not to harm them. But the soldiers kept searching, their voices cold, their steps heavy. Lila stayed in her room holding the infant close. She dared not leave. The child glowed faintly under her blanket, its breathing uneven. She could feel its weakness, and yet its small hands clutched her finger with surprising strength, as if it refused to let go of life. Her parents argued in the kitchen. "They're asking about a lost child," her mother said. "It's not our problem," her father replied, his voice low but tense. "But if they think we're hiding something..." The words cut Lila like a blade. She hugged the infant tighter. If they knew, they would give it away. They would be too afraid not to. Later that day, the soldiers gathered in the center of the village. Lila peeked through her window, her breath fogging the glass. A tall figure stood among them, different from the rest. Its armor was brighter, its helmet marked with glowing symbols. When it spoke, the air itself seemed to tremble. "People of this world," the figure said in broken human language, "the heir of our throne is missing. Without the heir, our empire will fall. Return the child and your homes will be safe. Hide it and you invite our anger." Gasps spread through the crowd. The villagers looked at one another, pale and afraid. An alien heir? That meant the baby Lila held was not just important, it was the future ruler of an entire world. An old man in the crowd raised his hand nervously. "We have no alien child here. We are simple people." The tall alien's gaze burned into him, then swept across the crowd. "Lies will bring only ruin." Lila stepped back from the window, her heart hammering. She whispered to the infant, "You're an heir? That's why they want you." The baby blinked slowly as if it understood. That night, the soldiers did not leave. They set fires around the village to keep watch. Their ships hovered above, glowing like deadly stars. Everyone was trapped under their gaze. Lila knew she had to be more careful than ever. She tried to keep the infant quiet, rocking it gently. But as midnight passed, the baby began to whimper again. The sound was soft, but in the silence, every noise felt loud. "Please hush," she begged, pressing it to her chest. She could not let anyone hear. Suddenly, her door creaked open. Lila jumped, clutching the infant tightly under the blanket. Her younger brother stood there, rubbing his eyes. "Lila, why are you awake?" Her throat went dry. I couldn't sleep," she whispered quickly. "Go back to bed." But the baby let out a tiny cry. Her brother's eyes widened. "What's that?" "Nothing," she said sharply. "Just a cat I found," her brother frowned. "We don't have a cat." Lila panicked. She grabbed his hand. "Please don't tell Mom and Papa, promise." He stared at her, confused, but finally nodded. "Okay, but you're acting strange." He left slowly, glancing back once before closing the door. Lila let out a shaky breath, rocking the infant again. The danger was growing closer, not just from the soldiers, but from inside her own home. The next morning, heavy knocks thundered at their door. Soldiers entered again, their cold eyes scanning every corner. One of them stepped into Lila's room, towering over her small bed. She held her blanket close, pretending to shiver in fear. The infant stayed quiet this time, as if it knew its life depended on silence. After a tense moment, the soldier turned and left, but not all were convinced. That night, Lila overheard two villagers whispering near the well. "I saw the girl sneaking home last night with something in her arms," one voice said. "You think she has it?" The other replied. "If she does and we don't tell them, we'll all be punished." Her blood turned to ice. Someone had seen her. Someone was planning to betray her. She rushed back to her room, tears stinging her eyes. The infant lay in its basket, looking at her with those strange silver eyes. "They'll take you," she whispered, "if they find you." The baby reached out a tiny hand, brushing her finger. The touch gave her courage. "No," she said firmly. "I won't let them." Outside, the alien leader's voice echoed again across the village, louder than before. "We are close. The heir is near. The one who hides the child will face our wrath." The soldiers began moving door to door once more. This time, they would not stop until they searched every shadow. And Lila knew the secret she carried would soon put her against not only the strangers, but also her own people. The village no longer felt like home. Soldiers filled every street, their glowing eyes scanning every shadow, every doorway, every frightened face. Ships hovered above the rooftops, engines humming like thunder. The people of the village whispered in fear, and some began to look at each other with suspicion. Inside her small room, Lila sat trembling on her bed, the infant hidden against her chest under the blanket. Its silver eyes blinked up at her, calm but weak, unaware of the storm outside. Every hour the soldiers grew harsher, every promise of safety thinner. The villagers were restless. Someone would break. Someone would point a finger. She could already hear it in their voices. Earlier that morning, 2 men shouted in the square, "Whoever hides the alien child will bring death to us all." One cried, "And if we turn it over, they may spare us." Another shouted. The crowd had murmured in agreement. Lila's heart had sunk. She was just a girl, and now she was keeping a secret that could destroy her whole village. Her father had returned home pale and shaking. "They will not stop," he told her mother in a voice low with fear. "They search every house again tonight. If they don't find what they want, they'll burn the village." Lila pressed her face into the infant's blanket, whispering, "What do I do? If I give you to them, maybe they'll leave us alone. But if I don't—" She couldn't finish the thought. The baby moved weakly, curling its tiny fingers around her thumb. The warmth of that touch sent a sting to her eyes. She had found it freezing in the snow. She had wrapped it in her only blanket. How could she hand it over now? As the sky darkened, lights from the alien ships cut across the snow like blades. Soldiers' voices echoed as they gathered in formation outside. The leader's voice rang out deep and commanding. "Tonight we finish. The air is close. Whoever hides the child, step forward now. Save yourselves." The words hung in the air. Lila felt her body shake. Her chest burned. She wanted to scream, to run, to disappear. Instead, she crept to the back door of her house. If she stayed, they would find the infant. If she left, she might still have a chance. The woods loomed behind the village, dark and deep. Snow covered the ground, but at least the trees could hide her. She wrapped the baby tighter, then pressed her lips close to its head. "We have to go," she whispered. "Hold on." She slipped out quietly, her small boots crunching in the snow. Every sound made her flinch. The fires of the soldiers' camp glowed behind her, and voices carried in the night. She moved quickly, keeping low, her breath sharp in the cold air. But she was not alone. Someone had seen her. From the shadows of a nearby hut, a figure stepped out. It was the old woman from the corner house, her eyes narrow, her face lined with fear. "You," the woman hissed. "You have it." Lila froze. Her heart pounded. "Please," she whispered. "Don't tell them." The woman's face twisted. "They will burn us all if you keep it. Give it to them." "Give it now! No!" Lila shouted, clutching the infant closer. The woman's eyes widened, and she turned to run toward the soldiers. Panic filled Lila. She couldn't let the woman reach them. She darted forward, grabbing the woman's sleeve. "Please, please don't," she cried. The old woman pulled free, shouting at the top of her lungs. Here, she has the child!" Lila's blood turned to ice. Shouts rose behind her. Soldiers moved quickly, their heavy feet crushing snow as they charged in her direction. Without thinking, Lila turned and bolted into the trees. The infant whimpered softly, sensing the fear and chaos. "Shh, I've got you," Lila whispered, running as fast as her legs would carry her. Branches scratched her arms. Snow blinded her eyes, but she didn't stop. Behind her, bright lights swept through the forest, and the sound of armored feet chased her. She stumbled once, nearly falling, but she clutched the baby close, refusing to let go. Her breath came in gasps, her chest burning, her small body pushed beyond its limits. Finally, she collapsed against a fallen log, hiding behind it, pressing the baby against her chest to keep it silent. Lights moved past the trees nearby. She held her breath, her whole body trembling, praying they would not see her. For a long moment, silence. Then the soldiers' voices grew fainter, moving in another direction. They hadn't found her. Not yet. Tears ran down her cheeks, freezing on her skin. She rocked the infant gently. "They'll never stop," she whispered. "But I can't let them take you." "I won't." The baby opened its silver eyes and looked at her. A strange glow pulsed from its tiny body, warm and soft, wrapping around her like invisible hands. For the first time, she felt something other than fear. She felt strength. The choice was made. She would not hand over the air. She would protect it, no matter what it cost. And as the alien ships roared above the forest, Lila realized she was no longer just a child in hiding. She was now the protector of a future that stretched far beyond her small village. The forest was quiet, but it was not safe. Lila sat behind the fallen log, holding the infant close to her chest. Snowflakes drifted down, covering her hair and shoulders, but she barely noticed. Her breath came out in sharp clouds. Every sound, the snap of a twig, the flap of a bird's wings, made her heart leap. The soldiers were still searching. Their lights cut through the trees, sweeping back and forth like hunting eyes. She had escaped for now, but she knew they would not stop. They would search the woods, the hills, even the rivers until they found what they wanted. And worse, someone in the village had already betrayed her. The old woman had shouted her secret for all to hear. Now the soldiers knew the heir was with a child. Lila wiped her eyes and whispered to the infant, "It's my fault. I should have hidden you better." But the baby's tiny hand reached for her cheek, glowing faintly. It was as if it was telling her not to give up. She pressed a kiss to its head and stood. "We have to move." Through the night, she walked deeper into the woods, her boots crunching softly in the snow. The infant grew heavier in her arms and her legs ached, but she did not stop. Every time she thought of the soldiers, of their cold eyes and heavy voices, her fear turned into fire. She would not let them take the child. By dawn, her strength was fading. She found a hollow between two rocks and crawled inside, curling around the baby to shield it from the cold wind. The infant slept quietly now, its glow dim but steady. For a short while, Lila closed her eyes, exhaustion pulling her down. She woke to the sound of footsteps. Her eyes flew open. Shadows moved outside the rocks. She held the baby tight, heart pounding. Then a voice whispered her name. Lila? It was her neighbor, Tomas, a boy a few years older. Relief washed over her for a moment. She crawled out, shivering. "Thomas, please, you have to help me." He stared at her, his eyes wide when he saw the bundle in her arms. "So it's true, you really have it." "Yes," she whispered. "But you can't tell anyone." "They'll kill it." "Please, Thomas, you've always been kind. Help me hide." Thomas's face twisted. He looked afraid, but also eager, like someone carrying a secret too heavy for his chest. "They promised," he said slowly. "The soldiers promised that if someone told them where the child was, they would spare the rest of us." Lila's blood ran cold. She stepped back, clutching the infant tighter. "No, Tomas, you can't. I have to," he cried, his voice breaking. "They'll burn the village. My family, my little sisters. I can't risk them." "I'm sorry, Lila." Before she could move, he whistled sharply. The sound cut through the trees. Moments later, armored figures appeared between the branches, their helmets glowing in the dawn light. The soldiers had been waiting. Thomas had led them straight to her. Lila's heart dropped. "How could you?" she whispered. Thomas looked away, tears in his eyes. "I'm sorry." The soldiers surrounded her, weapons drawn, their voices rumbling in their alien tongue. One stepped forward, reaching for the infant. "No!" Lila cried, stumbling back. She held the baby close, her whole body shaking. "You can't take it." The soldier grabbed her arm, yanking her forward. The infant wailed, a piercing cry that echoed through the forest. But this cry was different. It was powerful. Suddenly, light exploded from the baby's small body, blinding and fierce. The soldiers staggered back, shields sparking under the strange energy. The ground shook, snow lifting into the air as if a storm had burst from within the infant. Lila fell to her knees, shielding her eyes but refusing to let go. The infant's glow wrapped around her like warm fire, protecting her even as the soldiers struggled against the force. The alien leader himself appeared, stepping through the chaos. His tall frame loomed above them, his armor shining with strange marks. For a moment, even he hesitated, staring at the child with something close to awe. Then his deep voice rolled across the clearing. "The heir has chosen." The soldiers froze, their weapons lowered. Lila blinked up at him, her chest heaving. What do you mean?" The leader pointed at her, his glowing eyes narrowing. "The heir's power does not awaken for just anyone. It awakens only in the presence of one it trusts. You, small human, you are bound to the heir now." Lila clutched the baby close, confusion and fear swirling inside her. She was just a child. How could she be bound to something so great, something so alien? The leader's voice grew colder. "You have no choice. From this moment, you are the protector of our future ruler." The soldiers bowed their heads, their anger gone, replaced by something heavier, respect, or perhaps fear. Thomas stood frozen, his face pale. He had betrayed her, but now even he realized what had happened. The choice was no longer his. Lila looked at the infant, still glowing faintly in her arms. Its eyes met hers, silver and calm. In that moment she understood. Her life was no longer her own. She had stepped into a fate bigger than her village, bigger than her world. And while she had survived the betrayal, she knew this was only the beginning. The clearing was silent after the burst of light. Snow drifted slowly down again, covering the footprints and broken branches left from the chaos. The alien soldiers stood in a circle, their weapons lowered, their glowing eyes fixed on Lila. None dared to move. She knelt in the snow, clutching the infant against her chest. The warmth of its glow still wrapped around her like invisible arms, chasing away the cold. Her small body shook, not from fear this time, but from something she could not explain. A strange strength that had flowed into her the moment the infant cried out. The tall alien leader stepped forward, his armor glimmering with sharp lines of light. His voice rumbled through the air like thunder. "The air has awakened," he declared. "And it has chosen." The words seemed to echo in the forest, heavy and final. Lila stared up at him, her face pale. "Chosen? What do you mean?" Her voice trembled, but she held the baby tightly, refusing to let go. The leader's eyes glowed brighter. "This child you carry is not only our prince, it is the future of our entire empire. Without the heir, our worlds will fall into war, and yet its power has remained silent until now. Silent. Until you." The soldiers shifted uneasily, their armor clinking. Some looked at her with awe, others with suspicion. I don't understand," Lila whispered. She looked down at the infant, whose silver eyes blinked calmly at her. "I'm just a girl. Why would it choose me?" The leader lowered his head slightly, almost like a bow. "The bond cannot be explained. It cannot be broken. The heir's energy answers only to those it trusts beyond fear. You shielded it when it was weak. You gave it warmth when the cold tried to take it. You risked your life to protect it. The heir has bound itself to you. In our ways, that makes you its guardian." Lila's heart pounded in her chest. A guardian? Her? She thought of her small room at home, of her parents sitting by the fire, of the simple life she had lived only days ago. Now soldiers bowed their heads before her, and an alien baby with glowing skin had tied its fate to hers. One soldier stepped forward, his voice sharp. "She is human, weak, she cannot protect the heir. This bond is a mistake." The leader's gaze turned cold, silencing him instantly. "The heir does not make mistakes. You would dare question its choice?" The soldier bowed quickly, backing away. But the tension lingered, thick as the winter air. Thomas, who had betrayed her, still stood at the edge of the circle. His face was pale, his eyes wide. He looked at Lila as if he had never seen her before. Shame burned across his cheeks, but Lila did not even look at him. Her mind was on the infant, on the strange truth she had just been given. The leader stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Human child, listen well. You cannot return to your life as it was. The heir is part of you now. Where you go, it will go. Where it is threatened, you will feel it. This bond will last until death." Lila's lips trembled. She was only 10 years old. She wanted to cry, to run home, to pretend none of this was real. But when she looked into the infant's glowing eyes, something inside her grew steady. She whispered softly, "I won't leave it. I'll protect it." The leader nodded slowly, almost with respect. "Then you have accepted. You are now sworn to our future." The soldiers bowed their heads to her, some reluctantly, others with clear reverence. Lila could hardly breathe. Just yesterday, she had been a simple child, delivering bread to neighbors. Now she was protector of an alien heir, bound to a destiny she could not escape. But not all eyes held loyalty. Among the soldiers, some exchanged dark glances. Not all of them agreed with this bond. She felt it in the air, the doubt, the danger. The leader raised his voice once more. "We leave soon. The heir must be returned to our world, and the human guardian must come with it. She is part of our fate now." The words struck her like ice. "Leave? Go with them?" She turned quickly, shaking her head. "No, I can't leave my family. My village. This is my home." The leader's gaze softened only slightly. "Your home is already gone, child. These people betrayed you. They would have given you away had the heir not revealed itself. Here you will never be safe. But with us, you and the heir are bound. Together you will live. Alone you will fall." Tears stung her eyes. She thought of her parents, of her little brother, of the life she knew. Could she really walk away? Could she truly belong among these strange beings? The infant made a small sound then, reaching its glowing hand to touch her cheek. Warmth spread through her again, and in that moment she understood. She wasn't alone. The leader turned to his soldiers. "Prepare the ship. The human guardian comes with us. The clearing filled with movement. Soldiers bowed, preparing for departure. Thomas dropped to his knees, his face full of regret, whispering, "Lila, forgive me." But she did not answer. Her path was no longer tied to him, nor to the village. She held the infant close, her heart trembling with both fear and courage. Somewhere beyond the stars, a new life awaited, and she knew whether she was ready or not, her choice had already been made. The forest clearing glowed with strange light from the alien ships. The soldiers moved quickly, preparing for departure. Their shadows stretched long across the snow as engines hummed low, shaking the ground beneath Lila's feet. She stood in the middle, clutching the infant tight against her chest. Its silver eyes blinked up at her, calm, trusting. The warmth of its glow pulsed softly into her arms, steadying her trembling body. But inside, Lila's heart was torn apart. The alien leader had spoken clearly. She must leave. She must go with them to protect the air. Yet behind her, just beyond the trees, her village still stood. Her mother, her father, her little brother, they would be waiting for her, searching for her. How could she abandon them? How could she walk away from everything she had ever known? The leader's deep voice rumbled again, echoing through the cold air. "Guardian, the air cannot stay here. Danger follows it, and you are bound. If you remain, both of you will die. If you come with us, you live. You protect the future of worlds." The words pressed heavy on her shoulders. She felt smaller than ever, like a child again, helpless. She wanted to shout that she didn't care about empires or thrones, that she only wanted to go home. But when she looked down at the infant, her voice died in her throat. The baby reached up, touching her chin with its glowing fingers. The warmth spread through her chest, calming her storm of fear. It trusted her completely. From the edge of the clearing, a voice called weakly, "Lila!" She turned quickly. Her younger brother stood there, shivering in the snow, his eyes wide. He had followed her. Behind him, her parents rushed forward, their faces pale with fear. Her mother cried out, "Lila, come back. Give them the child and come home." Her father's voice cracked. "We can protect you. Don't go with them." Lila's throat tightened. Tears blurred her vision. For a moment, she took a step toward them, the weight of home pulling at her heart. But then the soldiers moved, raising their weapons. The leader raised a hand, stopping them, but his voice was firm. "They do not understand. You are no longer theirs. You belong to the air." Her parents begged louder, but the infant whimpered softly, its small body curling closer into her chest. Lila froze, torn between two worlds, her family of blood and her bond of choice. Her brother stepped closer, tears streaking his cheeks. "Don't leave me, Lila, please." Her chest ached so deeply it felt like it would break. She fell to her knees, clutching the infant, sobbing. "I don't want to leave you," she whispered. "But I can't let them take him." "I can't," her father shouted in anger. "You're just a child. This is not your burden." But the alien leader's voice cut through the cries. "It is no longer her choice. The air has bound itself. To break this bond would kill them both." Gasps rose from the villagers who had followed her parents. Some cursed, others wept, but all stared at Lila as if she were no longer one of them. She lifted her tear-streaked face. For the first time, her voice came out steady. "I have to go," her mother screamed, rushing forward, but a soldier blocked her path. Lila cried harder, reaching out one hand toward them, but she did not move closer. "I love you," she sobbed. "I'll never forget you." Her brother's small hand stretched toward her, trembling in the cold. "Promise you'll come back." She swallowed hard, nodding. "I promise." The leader gave a sharp command, and the soldiers formed around her. The ship's ramp lowered with a deep hiss, glowing light spilling across the snow. The air shook as engines roared louder. Lila held the infant close and stepped forward. Her boots sank into the snow, each step heavier than the last. Behind her, she heard her family crying out, their voices breaking the night. Ahead of her, the unknown waited. Cold metal walls, strange stars, and a future far bigger than she could imagine. At the base of the ramp, she turned one last time. Her eyes locked on her family, her brother's small frame shaking as he cried. Her heart broke, but she whispered to herself, for him, for the air, for something greater. Then she climbed the ramp. The soldiers followed, and the door closed with a heavy clang. The ship rose, snow swirling beneath it, engines blazing. The village grew smaller and smaller below until it vanished completely into the night. Lila pressed her forehead to the infant's, whispering, It's just us now. But I'll protect you. Always. The baby's silver eyes glowed brighter as if answering her promise. The warmth wrapped around her once more, and though her heart still ached, she felt strength growing in her chest. Outside the window, the stars opened wide, endless and unknown. The ship shot upward, leaving the world she knew far behind. And so, on that cold night, a simple human child made a decision that would change not only her life, but the fate of galaxies yet to come.